Hi everyone, my name is Ms. Chen. Today we will look at the setting of a story. Here's the learning objective. I can describe the setting of a story and explain why it is important to the story. What is the setting? The setting is where and when the story takes place. Here are some examples. Where does the story happen? It can happen on Earth, in space, in a forest, in a house, on a train, or in a castle. When does the story take place? The story can take place at night, in the morning, at 1:40 p.m., in the past, in a specific month like April, or in a specific season like winter, spring, fall, or summer. The setting can change in a story, and these changes can be important. We'll see why later in the video. So, when you are reading, the first thing you will do is think of the setting. Where does the story happen? When does the story take place? Then you will ask yourself, why is the setting important to the story? Before we go back into our text, here are some reminders. We are reading this book, Charlotte the Scientist is Squished, and the word squished means squeezed between two things. Just like this squishy here is squished. Another thing is rabbits live in burrows, which are holes underground. And our main character, Charlotte, is a rabbit. So that's probably where she lives. Okay, so in our book today, which is a fantasy because there are things that can happen in real life, like a rabbit who is a scientist, we are going to describe the setting. And we're going to use details from the text, including the words and the illustrations. So let's get started. Here's Charlotte in all her science gear. And Charlotte had a problem. She was squished. This is a great time to think of the setting. I remember that rabbits live in burrows, and this looks like it could be a burrow. It looks like it's underground. There's a tree trunk here with some squirrels outside. But let's keep going and see what else we learn about the setting. She was squished at the table, she was squished in the tub, and sometimes she was even squished in the toilet. So we have a dining room, the bathroom, and it looks like it could be daytime. I'm not sure, but it seems like it's happening all day long. Oh, here's a living room, and it says Charlotte needed some space. Time to use the scientific method. So let's pause here and think, where does the story happen and when does the story take place? They're near a tree. I saw a tree trunk. And they're inside and outside of a burrow, which is a rabbit's house. Specifically, they're in the living room, bathroom, and dining room. And again, it looks like it's probably the daytime, but it seems like it's happening all day long. And now the last part is, why is the setting important? So let's take a look at this page, and I'm going to think to myself, what is the problem in the story? And this will help me figure out why the setting is important. Here is Charlotte, and she looks like she's screaming in frustration. How can I get some space around here? If I can get rid of my brothers and sisters, I will have room to be a real scientist. So it seems Charlotte wants to be a real scientist, but at home, there isn't enough space for her to do her experiments. So let's add that to our chart. Charlotte feels squished all the time, all day long. There are too many rabbits and not enough space for her experiments. Now it's our turn. So we'll take a look at these pages here. Where does the story happen and when does the story take place? So I'm seeing the burrow. Now we're outside of the burrow. And I'm seeing this carrot spaceship and what looks like a forest. So if she was going to get some space, she would have to go there. Oh, it seems like she did go to outer space. Here's Earth in the distance. Here's her spaceship and her astronaut outfit. So let's add that to our chart. It's also now very dark outside. So where does the story take place? We just said they were in the burrow. Then it was the forest, then it was the carrot spaceship, and now she's in space. How do I know that? I saw Earth really far away, and Charlotte was wearing her astronaut outfit. When? I did see a blue sky, so it was daytime. And now that she's in space, maybe it's nighttime, but we can't really be sure because there's no day or night really when you're in space. Now, the last part is, why is the setting important? So let's continue. And while we're looking at this page, I want you to think of this question. How is the setting similar to the beginning of the story? So here's the beginning of the story. Table, tub, toilet. Charlotte was no longer squished at the table. She was no longer swished in the tub. And Charlotte could take as long as she wanted on the toilet. Space was splendid. So how is it similar? Yes, there's a table, there's a tub, and there's the toilet. Very similar setting, but one is in the burrow and one is in space. And this page shows a science lab. How is this different from the beginning of the story? I think the words can help us too. She had all the room she needed to conduct very important experiments. She finally had room to be a scientist. So this is different because, yes, she can now be a scientist. She has enough space. So let's add that to our chart. Charlotte finally has enough space in her carrot spaceship. She isn't squished anymore. She has space at the table, in the dining room, in the bathroom, the tub and toilet, and a science lab. She can even do her science experiments. And again, maybe it's happening in nighttime. We can't be too sure, and that's okay. Let's review what you will do when you are reading. So the first thing you will do is figure out the setting by asking yourself these two questions. Where does the story happen? And when does the story take place? Then you will think about how the setting changes. After that, think about the problem in the story. And finally, ask yourself, why is the setting important to the story? So now it's your turn. You will be repeating the same activity of filling out this chart for the ending of Charlotte the Scientist is Squished. Nice work, everyone. See you next time.